Which leads me to the big announcement that was finally made, the worst kept secret in wrestling. It was made on New Year's Day. They saved it for their Being the Elite show. They built it up and they showed all the guys coming together as the clock struck 12, looking at their phones, waiting for the big announcement. And then comes the big reveal with the logo. All Elite Wrestling is now officially a thing. They are holding what they are calling a Double or Nothing rally this Tuesday in Jacksonville, Florida, which just so happens to be within walking distance of where SmackDown is going to be taking place on Tuesday. WWE is said to be monitoring the situation, whatever the hell that means. Probably just want to make sure nobody pulls any stunts out in their own parking lot. The rally is free. It is open to the public starting at 8 p.m. outside TIAA Bank Field in parking lot J. So if you are going to be in the area, if you are going to SmackDown, you want to stop there first, that is where the rally is going to be taking place. Double or Nothing is going to be the name of the company's inaugural event. So basically think All In 2. That's basically what Double or Nothing is. And if anybody is wondering, the date of the event, the location of the event, I would just say this, consider the name. Just consider the name of the event, Double or Nothing. Look at the logo, and that should give you some sense of where this event is probably going to be taking place. Tony Khan, the co-owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, is officially the president of the company. Cody, and I think each of the Young Bucks as well, are each executive vice presidents of All Elite Wrestling, and Cody's wife, Brandy, is serving as the chief brand officer. So Brandy does branding. Makes sense. According to PW Insider, the company has had conversations with multiple television networks about a possible deal. We don't know which networks, and so I would caution anybody, if you're seeing rumors online or on Twitter about, TNT and TBS. It is true that TNT and TBS, the Turner networks, recently did make a deal to bring over MMA programming, not UFC, it's I think a newer promotion, to their network, which I think caught a lot of people by surprise, and for them that's huge. So you can never completely disqualify the idea that could wrestling end up back on the Turner networks. It's always possible. But I don't know where people are pulling this whole TNT, TBS nonsense from. I have seen no source cite any specific networks at all. So if you read that, just use caution, because I've seen absolutely nothing to back that up, other than the fact that they're having conversations with various mystery networks. I think we need to keep things in perspective when you hear that, given that, for example, Impact just signed with Pursuit Channel, which it sounds like almost nobody has. Or if they do have it, they have no idea that they have it. By the way, Impact moves to Pursuit this Friday. You may not know that because I don't see anything about it anywhere. And they're switching networks in less than a week. So anyway, that's for you Impact fans. That's where you can find the show starting Friday. MLW, and again, to keep perspective, MLW. And I like MLW. MLW is on beIN Sports, which is not a big network. It's great that they're on TV, but it's not a game changer. If this thing is going to be a game changer, if this thing is going to have a chance to, as Cody says here in their press release, and as somebody who does, write press releases and such for a living, even I cringe when people use language like this, but this is standard press release jargon here. He talks in the press release, Cody does, about, let's change the world. That's what he says. The time to change the world is now. You're not going to be changing anything unless enough people can see you. So they're negotiating with different networks. Good. Let's see what those networks actually are before people start to get too overly excited about this. In the meantime, they've been speaking with talent about multi-year contracts. According to Pro Wrestling Sheet, the contract offers from AEW are comparable to what people are making in WWE. It doesn't say what people. There's a lot of people in WWE. What Seth Rollins is making, or what AJ Styles is making, I'm sure is very different, for example, than what Elias is making, or what Zack Ryder is making, or Jinder Mahal might be making. Again, context is king. It's very important to keep perspective on these things. Until we start hearing and seeing specific figures, names of networks, I remain skeptical about all of this. This all sounds great, and it's easy to want to get excited about this, but I've seen and heard too many stories of new promotions starting out and all these things before to get too excited before we have all the facts. But I hope it's true. I hope for their sake and for wrestling's sake, I hope it's true. Because AEW becoming a big success is nothing but a good thing for wrestling. Right now, the Young Bucks, Cody, Hangman Page, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, and Scorpio Sky from the SoCal Uncensored faction and Ring of Honor, they all appear to be part of the roster. That appears to be the initial roster that we know of at this point. Obviously, that roster is going to have to grow a lot if they're going to put on another show, which begs the question of who do they bring in? Kenny Omega would seem to be the biggest question mark right now. He's tight with all those guys. But he's also said to have gotten a great offer from WWE. That was the big report, the big rumor this week, is that Kenny Omega has been blown away by some fantastic offer from WWE. If he's not at the rally on Tuesday, that could be a sign. AJ Styles, we know, is negotiating with WWE because his contract is set to be up in April. I cannot see him leaving. Same goes for Shinsuke Nakamura. There seem to be some people who think he might leave. You know, he might go back to New Japan, or maybe instead, if he doesn't want to move his family back there, he could stay in the U.S. and just sign with AEW. I don't see it. I don't see him going anywhere. The Revival. The Revival suddenly getting what could be a push on Raw, and I think they take the tag team titles tomorrow night. That could be a sign, too. There was a report about a month or two ago, if you remember, that 2 WWE stars were bound for All Elite Wrestling. That they had given a verbal commitment that they were going to jump over when their contracts were up, which was coming up in April. And the initial speculation was that, it could be Luke Anderson and Carl Anderson, I'm merging them again, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, and then we come to find out their contracts aren't up until September. So they're not going anywhere so quickly. Which made me think, okay, well, what about Dash and Dawson? WWE, maybe they're thinking the same thing. So if they suddenly get those tag team belts and a nice push on Monday Night Raw, after months of having their chain jerked around, that could be WWE's way of trying to keep them right where they are. But all of this, again, it's just speculation right now. Let's see what they announce at this rally on Tuesday. Any competition is a good thing, I say, especially at a time when so many people are disenfranchised with the current WWE product. So many people write me saying, I don't watch anymore. I gave up. I gave up 6 months ago. I gave up 6 years ago. Some people haven't been watching for years. They just listen to podcasts to keep up with what's going on. Every single one of those people. I don't care if you hate Cody's guts, if you hate the sight of his face, if you think the Bucks suck, whatever your personal opinions might be on the individual parties involved here. Every single one of those people who has ever complained or cried or sent an email in or a tweet saying, I don't watch, I can't stand it, it's so bad. Every single one of those people should be rooting for this thing to take off like a bottle rocket. And for the life of me, I just cannot understand the contingent of people who seem to want to watch this thing just completely fall flat on its face. If there are people who think that, that they're making false promises or that there's something shady going on here or it's just a lot of hot air, then you know what? This thing is going to fizzle out and prove a lot of people right. But I don't understand the mentality, and I don't think it's a majority of people, but anybody who wants to see this thing fail and actively roots for this thing to fail, I don't get it. I don't understand the mentality at all, especially at a time when all people seem to be doing, and rightfully so, when it comes to WWE and the stuff they see on television every week, is just piss, bitch, and moan about how horrible it is. Well, then why not give this thing a shot? Let's see what they got up their sleeve, and they're going to sink or swim. But I certainly wouldn't, root for them to sink. That's my take on that. I just don't get the mentality of people who seem to want to see this thing just go 6 feet under. I don't get it.